I've been under NDA for a new graphics card, the GeForce 3060 Ti, which was only officially announced today and which comes out tomorrow. Being on the other side of the curtain is really interesting. I get to see all the silly speculation on the subreddits, I get to see which leaks are true and which of them aren't, and I get to test hardware that to the rest of the world doesn't even exist just yet. But the big thing is, I can't talk about it. I hear friends speaking about which card they want to get, how the current cards are too expensive, but that it's probably going to be ages before lower tier ones come out, but I can't do any more than just to vaguely suggest that they should wait a bit, since it could get me into trouble. I'd be mortified if a 3060 Ti leak came from me, or from that damn 3D Mark benchmark that likes to upload results to the online scoreboard without my permission. Luckily it doesn't seem to recognise the card just yet, so I think I got away with it. Again. And the other worry is that it's harder than you'd think to benchmark a new card. I'm so used to new stuff coming out and then being able to browse all of the reviews for them. Within a matter of minutes I've got a good idea of what the card's like and what sort of quirks it comes with. With a new product like this though, I don't get that pleasure. With this one I get Nvidia's own materials and how they think the card stacks up against existing ones. But I can't just go on that. I've got to figure it out for myself, and inevitably the creeping doubts begin. Have I tested enough games? Do they represent the card's performance and what viewers want to see from them? Will I get criticised for using a non-stock model of a card that I'm comparing it against? And so on. But there's also a thrill to this kind of challenge. I see my channel as a David up against Goliaths in the industry who have far more manpower, far more hardware, and far better testing methods than I could manage. It reminds me of being a small YouTuber again, looking for any way I could find of breaking into the industry. There is something nice about being small and agile, free of the constraints that veteran or long-term tech reviewers might be held to. I can tailor my testing to this specific card without worrying about offending viewers by not following the tried and tested structure that they may expect from, say, Gamers Nexus or Guru 3D's reviews. For instance, when testing the GeForce 3060 Ti, I didn't have a 2060 Super, the card it's replacing, nor the 2080 Super, the card that it's most similar to in speed. If I was a well-known reviewer, I'd have to get those cards, or I wouldn't be taken seriously. But as somebody who's not primarily a tech reviewer, I can instead approach the video from a completely new angle, which also happens to give my video value and purpose, even if viewers have already watched a dozen of the other reviews for the card. For instance, when I got the GeForce 3080, I decided to make a video testing it at 8K. Was the card ever intended for 8K? No. But was it interesting? Yes. And even more so once the 3090 came out, which other people did test at 8K. Suddenly, my video about the 3080 was worth watching so that people could compare the two cards in this ridiculous resolution. With this GeForce 3060 Ti review, I decided to approach it from two angles I felt potential buyers would be interested in. Firstly, how does it compare with the faster cards and how much will you be missing out on by going for the 60 Ti instead? And secondly, how does it compare to older products that my viewers may already be using? And I think my video has pulled this off. The resulting review isn't as extensive as the others no doubt will be, but it's a lot more tailored to a few specific questions that most people will probably have about the card. I also dedicated a section of the video to where I could just casually speak about frame rates at different setting configurations. Definitely not up to the rigorous benchmarking standards, but probably a lot more relevant to people interested in playing those games. I noticed this in my Ryzen 2 200G video too. Benchmarks are all well and good, but sometimes you want a visual demonstration of how smooth a certain frame rate in a certain game is, because in CSGO you'll want more than 60, but Skyrim might be okay with just 50, and so on. And in another part of the video, I did a very unbenchmarky thing by loading up the demanding Quake 2 RTX demo and by enabling adaptive resolution scaling to hit 60 FPS, so viewers could see the visual quality this card could achieve at 60 FPS in this game, which turns the usual style of benchmarking at a fixed setting on its head. But I think still reveals useful information about the card, information that other videos won't be covering. Obviously I'm not saying everybody should follow my example. I have great respect for proper benchmarks, which is part of the reason why I leave it to people far more qualified than I am to do them. I understand that with my resources and with the sort of channel that I run, that I need to find another approach to this kind of content in order for it to have value to viewers. If I can't do that, then I just shouldn't do it at all. It sounds great, doesn't it? I get a free bit of hardware, I get an exclusive video topic to cover, and it's cool to get this stuff early, especially when demand for them is so high. But believe it or not, there are good reasons not to do this. Like the unspoken relationship with Nvidia. They ask me if I'm interested in a product, I say yes, and I get it. I'm not forced to make a video about it, but if I'm given it, then I feel obliged to, and I assume that if I continue to not produce content for the stuff they gave me, then they'd end up not giving me stuff. But this here is already a potential for bias. I actually don't feel forced to be positive about these products. I don't think that benefits anybody, especially not me in the long term. It'll be pretty obvious come review day if I'm stating something different from everybody else. So I try to remain objective, I freely talk about any problems I find, and I try to make the video I would have made had it been made in a vacuum, away from real world influences and politics. While making these videos, I am in touch with Nvidia. I ask them some questions about the product. I'll ask if it's normal not to see an uplift in performance over previous generations when ray tracing is enabled, and so on. I also asked them what would happen if you used the power adapter for the 3080 on the 3060 Ti, and apparently it could explode. But beyond answering those questions, Nvidia doesn't really play much of a part in shaping the video. They don't look at it and go, change this, 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 this. In fact, they remain eerily silent about all that. I believe they give me products not for glowing coverage, but just for exposure, and to drown out whatever the competition might be doing. Speaking of which, do you know why I've only been doing Nvidia stuff? It's because they're the only ones offering it. I would absolutely love to have AMD cards and so on, but they have expressed no interest. Which is fine, I still don't feel like I'm entitled to stuff, but if you're wondering why I'm doing more content about Nvidia than I am about AMD, that's why. I understand this stuff isn't given to me because they love me, it's not out of the goodness of their heart. It's given to me because a video about it on my channel is of inherent value to them. But I still feel kind of bad about getting stuff that I know other people would love and appreciate much more than I would. I know there will be people watching this who maybe harbour resentment towards me, or who think I'm only making this video to brag about my position. Maybe I am. But if you want to know what happens to all the hardware, I give it to friends, because I can only use one PC at a time, and I hate seeing good stuff going to waste. But it does mean that for videos like this one, I have to try and round up all of the graphics cards I've received again. So my friends know I'm doing something, but don't know it's about the 3060 Ti, a card that's to be released on December the 2nd, 2020. At the time of typing this, that information's confidential for another 2 hours. It's still thrilling to know stuff like this early, even if it does come with the paranoia that I'm accidentally streaming my screen somewhere, or that somebody across the street with a telescope's reading this off my screen right now. NDAs bring out the worst in me.